Wow, wow, wow. The Indiana Fever have traded NaLyssa Smith and got Sophie Cunningham in a three-way trade.
NaLyssa Smith's exit from the Indiana Fever is setting the sports world abuzz. After her move to Dallas, she made sure her parting words hit hard, stirring up plenty of debate among fans and critics alike. Meanwhile, the Fever have taken a daring leap by acquiring Sophie Cunningham, a player poised to potentially reshape the team's future. Could this trade prove to be a game-changing masterstroke, or is it just another misstep? And what implications does it have for Caitlin Clark's role moving forward, potentially paving the way for Indiana's success?
And I want to say this as respectfully as I possibly can, but I think that Indiana had to kind of pay a little to get rid of NaLyssa Smith. As sad as that sounds, and boy, did they pay a hefty price.
NaLyssa Smith's stint with the Indiana Fever has come to an explosive end. After her trade to the Dallas Wings, she didn't hold back in expressing her true feelings. While most players stick to a professional script post-trade, Smith chose a far less conventional route. Instead of a courteous thank you or an understated farewell, she unleashed a parting barb that left fans and pundits in shock. Her message wasn't merely a goodbye, it was a pointed critique of how she believed the Fever had mistreated her. Excited to play for an organization that believes in me? That single line set the internet ablaze. The underlying message was clear. Smith felt that Indiana had abandoned her, leaving her undervalued, overlooked, and sidelined. But is her grievance justified, or is it just a case of a player falling short of expectations? While Smith was busy airing her frustrations, the Fever were making strategic moves, signaling they were no longer willing to wait for untapped potential to translate into performance. Enter Sophie Cunningham, a talent whose arrival in Indiana might just be the franchise's most promising turn in years.
Now, Sophie Cunningham is a good player. She can shoot the three. She can 3-and-D it. She's pretty good on defense. She's fast. I think the Fever are looking for like the fast pace. I think bringing Sophie over is definitely going to spread the floor a lot more.
Before diving into Cunningham's impact, let's break down exactly why NaLyssa Smith's chapter with the Fever came to a close. Drafted as the second overall pick in the 2022 WNBA draft, Smith was heralded by Indiana as a cornerstone, a player around whom they could build for the long haul. For a while, it truly seemed like they'd struck gold. In her rookie campaign, Smith showcased moments of brilliance, averaging 13 points and 8 rebounds per game, which proved she could hold her own among the league's elite. The raw potential was undeniable. The issue, however, was that those bright flashes never evolved into consistent performance. By the 2024 season, Smith had not blossomed into the player Indiana had envisioned. Her scoring dropped, rebounding numbers declined, and, most notably, her overall impact on the game began to wane. What was once a promising young star gradually transformed into a player who appeared lost on the court. Mistakes accumulated, defensive lapses became routine, her shot selection faltered, and in those critical clutch moments, she was more often on the sidelines than making a decisive impact. For a team determined to rebuild its winning culture, Smith no longer fit the puzzle. While she saw herself as a foundational piece, the Fever were shifting gears, seeking players capable of thriving in a fast-paced, high-energy system. Despite her talent, she simply didn't align with that vision. It wasn't a question of if she would be moved, it was merely a matter of when. When the trade finally went through, sending Smith to Dallas and ushering in Sophie Cunningham to Indiana, it was clear that the Fever weren't just pursuing a fresh start. They were making a bold statement. Smith's reaction was immediate and unmistakable. Within minutes of the trade announcement, she scrubbed every reference to the Indiana Fever from her social media, revamped her Instagram bio, and delivered a pointed dig at her former team. reactions among fans were mixed. Some still believed in her untapped potential and felt that Indiana had given up on her too early, while others welcomed the change, arguing that she wasn't the fit the team needed. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. NaLyssa is still young and talented, and in the right system, she could well rediscover her form. However, Indiana simply didn't have the luxury of waiting. The Fever aren't in it for the long game anymore. They're all about winning now. And that's precisely why the arrival of Sophie Cunningham is such a significant development.
As well, so in the same day as they get Natasha Howard, they get Sophie Cunningham, possibly adding 2 starters, while also bringing Kelsey Mitchell back, and in year 2 of Caitlin Clark. So the Fever are title contenders right now.
Sophie Cunningham brings a crucial element the Fever have been lacking. A relentless, no-nonsense, high-energy force who not only plays the game, but transforms a team's culture. Her ability to knock down three-pointers instantly makes her a valuable asset, yet her influence goes well beyond the box score. She's gritty, fiery, and knows exactly how to get under opponents' skin. And most importantly, she's a proven winner. This is precisely the kind of cornerstone you build a championship team around. And that's exactly why Indiana made this trade. For Caitlin Clark, this move could be transformative. Cunningham is the teammate who will always have her back, consistently sinking big shots, locking down tough defense, and infusing the team with a much-needed competitive edge. When you have a generational talent like Caitlin, you don't have the luxury of waiting around for other players to step up. You surround her immediately with the right pieces. That's exactly what this trade achieves. Cunningham fits perfectly into the modern WNBA, versatile enough to play multiple positions, stretch the floor with her shooting, and defend the league's top perimeter players. Meanwhile, NaLyssa Smith is still searching for her identity in this league, and that's where the difference lies. The Fever didn't just trade one player for another. They upgraded their mentality, their culture, and their immediate ability to win. The coaching staff recognized that Smith wasn't meshing with their system, and rather than force a fit, they opted to bring in someone who would. It wasn't a question of if, but when. With the pieces falling into place, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and now Sophie Cunningham, the foundation is set for a team that can truly dominate. As for Smith, she's heading to Dallas with something to prove. Will she thrive in a fresh environment, or will her struggles persist? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear, Indiana is done dwelling on the past. They're focused on building a winning future, and with Cunningham in the mix, that future looks significantly brighter. This trade wasn't merely about swapping players, it was a strategic shift designed to redefine the franchise's trajectory, with no intention of looking back. Now that the dust is settled, it's time to examine what this move means for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever's future. This wasn't just a decision to move on from NaLyssa Smith, it was about reconfiguring the team around their emerging franchise star. Caitlin Clark is arguably the most anticipated rookie in WNBA history, and Indiana needed to construct a supporting cast that perfectly complemented her game. And that's precisely where Sophie Cunningham comes in. Caitlin is an elite playmaker, a true floor general capable of scoring from anywhere. To fully unlock her potential, however, she needs teammates who can spread the floor, provide solid defense, and move without the ball. That's where Cunningham seamlessly fits. Let's start with spacing. One of the Fever's biggest concerns this season was ensuring ample room on the floor. Caitlin thrives in an open court, whether she's creating for herself or setting up her teammates. Aaliyah Boston dominates inside, and she needs space in the paint to assert her presence, while Kelsey Mitchell, one of the league's top shooters, benefits immensely when opponents are forced to cover her perimeter threat. The issue with NaLyssa Smith? Her inconsistent outside shooting allowed defenses to sag off, clogging the paint and limiting offensive flow, resulting in fewer driving lanes, less open looks, and more contested shots. Sophie Cunningham immediately remedies that problem. With a career three-point percentage of 38%, defenses have no choice but to respect her shot. They can't afford to leave her open, which forces them to extend their coverage and thereby opens up opportunities for Caitlin to drive, for Boston to work inside, and for Mitchell to get cleaner looks. This is a significant win for Indiana's offensive strategy. Defense is another area where the upgrade is evident. NaLyssa Smith struggled on the defensive end. She wasn't quick enough to switch onto guards, nor was she strong enough to command the paint. In a WNBA that's evolving into a faster, more versatile league, that shortcoming is a liability. Cunningham, on the other hand, offers remarkable defensive versatility. She can switch onto quicker guards and also hold her own against larger wings. Her tenacious physical style of defense wears opponents down, providing Indiana with the edge they desperately need. When building around a superstar like Caitlin Clark, you need teammates who can cover for defensive lapses and shore up weaknesses. While Caitlin is an offensive force, she relies on her team to back her up on the other end. Cunningham delivers that defensive intensity and physicality, bringing an edge that the Fever have been missing. With her on board, Indiana is well on its way to constructing the winning team they've envisioned.
Bleacher Report posted a quote that said, "I played my last game in Dallas." Did you really say that?
I know. I'm sad about it though. I like the fans, you know, I'm a fan, but
That's it. That's it. It's time to move on. Time to move on.
After weeks of intense speculation, Satou Sabally has finally addressed her free agency status, unveiling a series of unexpected developments and bold decisions that could redefine her WNBA career. What's driving this intriguing move? Let's uncover the story behind her fascinating choice.
Moving with a potentially different shoe brand, but also the decision to change teams. Yeah, so I'll be a free agent this year, and oh my god, I feel like this is just super exciting. So
in a highly anticipated live stream, Satou Sabally finally shared news that has fans buzzing with excitement and speculation. Displaying her trademark grace and composure, Sabally announced that she had officially played her final game with the Dallas Wings, marking the end of her chapter with the team.
team am I going to, Taylor?
I don't want to say no names. Hey, I just want to say.
Don't say anything. That's
I
what
don't say no names. No, but generally, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. But
yeah, we don't know yet.
just know wherever Satou ends up at, ring incoming. Ring incoming.
In a highly anticipated live stream, Satou Sabally delivered news that has fans buzzing with excitement and speculation. With her characteristic grace and poise, Sabally announced that she had officially played her final game with the Dallas Wings, signaling the conclusion of her journey with the team. We got Satou Sabally trending on X. Come to the Fever. We got the motion. Satou's star power, plus her German flair, plus Caitlin Clark connections equals untold endorsement wealth. So the Dallas Wings have lost Satou Sabally. Well, she's gone. Sabally's announcement was clear, yet rich with underlying meaning, particularly when she addressed the rampant speculation about her next destination. While many assumed she was headed to the Chicago Sky, Sabally clarified the situation unequivocally. She had reportedly declined the opportunity to join Chicago.
Unrestricted free agent, the Chicago Sky do have some of the most cap space in the league this offseason. Should the Chicago Sky target Satou?
100% yes. There's no doubt about it. She's easily, if not number one, on the free market list.
The motivations behind her decision remain unclear, but her opting out of joining the Sky has only heightened the speculation surrounding her future. Since then, rumors have taken off, with one particular storyline especially capturing the interest of both fans and analysts alike.
Let's talk about travel. Let's talk about charter. Let's talk about the WNBA. We would save days, yes. I hate to make excuses that we're tired, but reducing travel time increases recovery time. It increases this time to be able to eat, sit, be away from light that hinders you from actually getting a good night rest and sleep, scientifically proven.
The chatter indicates that Sabally may be heading to the Indiana Fever, where she could team up with the emerging star Caitlin Clark. This potential alliance has the ingredients of a game-changing synergy, poised to shift the league's power dynamics significantly. Sabally's versatile skill set and sharp court vision, paired with Clark's scoring prowess and relentless tenacity, could elevate the Fever to new heights. This move is sure to unsettle players like Diana Taurasi, Aja Wilson, and Angel Reese, leaving them upset and stressed. And let's not overlook how much Sheryl Swoopes disapproves of this possible partnership.
In an unrivaled press interview, she goes to state, "I've already communicated with Dallas how grateful I am because they've made this a home for me for the past years, and I'm working with them together in finding the next home for me because I've already played my last game in Dallas." Wow. So what does this mean? Well, Dallas Wings will undoubtedly court her, which means they're going to be looking for some sort of a sign-in trade.
The potential move for Sabally to the Indiana Fever is intriguing for multiple reasons. Firstly, it would position her as a leader on a team with significant upward momentum. The Fever have been undergoing a rebuilding phase and are demonstrating promising signs, and incorporating a player of Sabally's caliber could expedite their rise. Additionally, teaming up with Clark, a standout who has garnered national attention for her stellar performances, could form a powerful backcourt that opponents would find daunting. Although Sabally has not yet confirmed or dismissed these rumors, the anticipation surrounding the possibility is intense. Fans are closely monitoring her every action, analyzing each statement and gesture for hints about her next career move.
I'll add something to that too. When I was driving to the game today, obviously it's annoying because there were way too many Caitlin fans and but it just kudos because it's amazing to see so many people in women's basketball jerseys. It's amazing to see the excitement and the joy that comes out of that. So although I feel like our Dallas fans could have done better, I had mixed feelings obviously seeing all the Caitlin jerseys in our home, but it's an amazing sign for women's basketball.
Despite the swirling rumors, one thing remains clear. Satou Sabally's next move will be one of the WNBA offseason's most highly anticipated decisions. Sabally's influence and presence are sure to make a significant impact in the league. Whether she chooses to join Caitlin Clark in Indiana or takes a different path, we can only watch and wait as this exciting chapter of her career unfolds. In a sports world often riddled with competition and envy, Satou Sabally has distinguished herself as a trailblazer, not only through her exceptional gameplay, but also through her unique perspective. When Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise captured the attention of basketball fans nationwide, not everyone was pleased. Satou Sabally's decision to openly support Caitlin Clark was both refreshing and unexpected. At a time when many were focused on comparing statistics or lamenting their own lack of similar recognition, Sabally saw the bigger picture. She understood that Clark's impact on the sport went beyond individual accolades, contributing to the elevation of women's basketball as a whole. Instead of giving in to underlying jealousy, Sabally expressed her gratitude for what Clark brought to the game. A surge of energy, visibility, and enthusiasm that women's basketball desperately needed.
The reason why it really, really gets my blood boiling is because it's the exact same thing we see in every other sport. The games where she's not playing have lower viewership.
This has to be a joke. Sue Bird is the last person I'd imagine making these kinds of comments about Caitlin Clark. Seriously, Sue? The epitome of generational talent, someone who's witnessed it all, possesses an in-depth understanding of the game, and navigates the intricate court politics better than anyone else. And now she's behaving this way? Come on!
Some people continue to flip that. Those people, I've seen Stephen A. Smith talk about it. I've seen Shannon Sharp talk about it. And that's what I just don't understand is they work for ESPN. So why are you hating on a product? It's a business you're in. It's not that they can't.
This is getting unbelievable. Sue Bird, the WNBA's very own walking history book, has targeted Caitlin Clark. And trust me, it's igniting a lot of conversations.
And yet, we don't hear anyone on the Celtics and the Mavs. That is not how this works. It's because there's some players that are just so transcendent that the viewership's going to be insane no matter what.
Great.
And it has nothing to do with the other players, the other...
Seriously, we're talking about Sue Bird here. She's essentially basketball royalty, yet out of nowhere, she launches an attack on Caitlin Clark, the young star who has been driving the league's ticket sales and viewership through the roof. Why? Apparently, it's because ticket prices and TV ratings have dipped since Clark's team, the Indiana Fever, were knocked out of the playoffs. But that's hardly shocking. Clark is a true fan magnet, plain and simple.
And to imply that we should just ignore the impact that Caitlin Clark had and still continues to have on this team, this league, this sport. Nah, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, Sue Bird.
Honestly, just look at the Golden State Valkyries, an expansion team that's already sold out around 18,000 season tickets. Clark doesn't even play for them, yet her influence is undeniable. Still, some people keep twisting the narrative. I've seen Stephen Smith discuss it, I've seen Shannon Sharp talk about it, and here's what I don't understand. They work for ESPN. Why are they attacking a product that's literally part of their business?
Stephen A. and with Shannon, there's an aspect of them like defending their stances on her. Like, we were right about Caitlin and this is our defense. And I still think there's something twisted there because nobody ever said.
It's not that they can't express their opinions, but Sue didn't just mention it and move on. Oh no, she went all out, even pulling Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp into the fray. And let's be honest, those two are renowned for their brutally honest takes on everything. So, what exactly is Sue Bird upset about? Is it Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp calling it as they see it? It's not even like they're wrong.
I don't know how you explain, like, honestly, look at the Golden State Valkyries. It's an expansion team. They've already sold out, I think it's 18,000 season tickets. Caitlin doesn't play there. And yet some people continue to flip that. Those people, I've seen Stephen A. Smith talk about it. I've seen Shannon Sharp talk about it. And that's what I just don't understand is they work for ESPN. So why are you hating on a product? It's a business you're in. It's not that they can't.
Let's dive into the entire Bird versus Clark drama for a moment. Could this be stemming from bitterness? Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark skyrocketed to become the face of women's basketball almost overnight. She's drawing massive crowds and achieving viewership numbers like no one else ever has. But then Sue steps in, casting shade on anyone who dares to acknowledge the obvious. The WNBA is struggling to keep pace without Clark on the court.
Sue Bird calls out ESPN hosts for, quote, hating on WNBA playoff ratings after Caitlin Clark's exit. You say, what? Why? Why, y'all? Really? This is where we have to go?
The WNBA tries to portray its achievements as the product of collective advancement. But let's be honest, is Caitlin Clark truly propelling the league forward? Without her, TV ratings drop, ticket sales plunge, and merchandise revenue disappears. The league should be going above and beyond to keep her satisfied, instead of clinging to outdated pay structures that scream, "We don't truly value you." Fans aren't oblivious to this nonsense. Social media is inundated with demands for change. People are highlighting the absurdity of her salary relative to her impact. It's not just a matter of fairness, it's a business issue. You don't underpay the individual who is vital to your survival. That's not only poor optics, it's poor math. Yet, The WNBA seems too busy celebrating minor growth to realize they're engaging in a risky strategy. If they don't evolve, they risk losing not only Clark, but also the entire momentum she has built. Talented players like her are rare. They're once-in-a-generation athletes who can transform a sport. If the WNBA fails to find a way to compensate her appropriately, don't be shocked if other leagues or opportunities come her way.
It's that time. Harvest.
You
It's
guys,
all
everyone
the
wants
time.
me to cry today. No way. Oh.
Have you ever witnessed a basketball star tear up over someone else's triumph? Well, A'ja Wilson just did. The WNBA champion was seen in tears, but not for the reasons you'd expect. It's all in response to Caitlin Clark's emotional jersey retirement announcement.
I was like in tears, y'all.
You might be asking, what's all the fuss about? Don't players have their jerseys retired all the time? Well, not like this. Caitlin Clark's retirement ceremony is already setting records before it's even happened. Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson's fans are crying foul, suggesting Iowa orchestrated this to steal the spotlight. But what spotlight? Iowa likely didn't even know when South Carolina planned Wilson's ceremony, especially since she graduated nearly a decade ago. We've got the facts, the timeline, and fan reactions that tell a different story. Let's break down why Wilson's tears are flowing and how Clark is once again changing the game for women's basketball. February 2nd, 2025. Don't forget that date, because it's about to become legendary in women's basketball. 2 players, 2 jersey retirements, but only one is stealing the spotlight like a supernova. Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson, both revolutionizing women's basketball in their own ways, are set to have their jerseys retired on the same day. But that's where the comparison ends. Clark's ceremony at Iowa is generating a buzz that's completely overshadowing Wilson's South Carolina event.
Iowa taking on USC and Juju Watkins. Nationally televised game, I believe. February 2nd, 2-2, so it's 22. Everything about it lines up.
Let's talk numbers because they're crazy. The cheapest ticket to see Clark's jersey rise to the rafters is over $700, which is the most expensive ticket in women's basketball history. For some perspective, this price tag is even steeper than the cheapest ticket to an NBA Finals game. And if you're aiming for the best seats in the house, you'd better have a thick wallet, with tickets going for over $8,000. Meanwhile, you can catch a seat at Wilson's ceremony for just $25. No, that's not a typo. We're talking about a price difference more than 28 times higher for Clark's event.
But that is a supply and demand thing, especially in today's day and age where there's no such thing as a sellout, right? Where you can go to any event you want as long as you're willing to pay for it because of the secondary ticket market.
Social media is blowing up with reactions. This isn't just about ticket prices. It's a game-changing moment for women's basketball. The demand we're seeing now was unimaginable just a few years ago. Clark's final home game shattered records with tickets reaching $450. But now that feels like pocket change compared to her retirement ceremony. What's unfolding here is Clark reshaping the entire landscape of women's basketball. She's not just rewriting the record books on the court, she's breaking barriers off it. Clark has become a cultural icon, drawing in fans who might have never tuned into a women's basketball game before.
I'm leading scorer in women's college basketball.
But wait, there's more. This story is far from over. What does Wilson and her team have to say about this, you may ask?
One of the sentiments that was expressed was, oh, it's the same day as A'ja Wilson's. How could you do? First of all, I remember them announcing A'ja Wilson was getting her jersey retired, but I didn't remember the date or anything. When the Clark news broke, I didn't think about A'ja Wilson. And again, as is the case with Caitlin Clark, this only is going to bring more attention to A'ja Wilson's jersey retirement.
As ticket prices for Clark's ceremony soared, another kind of inflation was taking over: online outrage. A'ja Wilson's fans aren't just upset, they're convinced a conspiracy is at play. But what if the real story is even more explosive than they think? The social media storm ignited with Wilson's supporters crying foul over the timing of Clark's jersey retirement. One fan didn't hold back, tweeting, "Why would y'all retire her jersey on the same day as A'ja Wilson? Are y'all stupid?" This sentiment echoed across social media, with Wilson's fan base feeling like their star was being overshadowed by the Clark phenomenon. But here's where it gets interesting. The timeline of these announcements tells a different story. Iowa didn't just pull Clark's jersey retirement out of thin air. They revealed their plans back on April 11th, 2024, right after the NCAA championship game.
And yes, Clark did get a standing ovation when Iowa's athletics director announced that the university will retire her number 22 jersey.
That number holds a lot of weight, far beyond my name, and I guess I'm just really grateful, and it'll be a special day when that happens for sure. Thank you. It's been very special, and this place will always be home to me.
South Carolina didn't unveil their plans for Wilson's jersey retirement until October 2024, 6 months later, folks. Wilson's fans are saying they're not Clark fans, so why should they care about Iowa stealing the spotlight with their announcement? Why can't both players be honored on the same day?
First of all, there's nothing wrong with two schools retiring respective jerseys on the same day. But secondly, if you wanted the focus to be on A'ja Wilson, she'll probably get more attention as the second, most recognized jersey retirement of that day than she would have if she had the stage all to herself on that.
So why are Wilson's fans so certain that Iowa is trying to steal South Carolina's thunder? It all boils down to the meteoric rise of Clark's popularity. Iowa's athletic director, Beth Gutz, put it bluntly: Clark's accomplishments have made a lasting impact on the university and on women's basketball. They weren't responding to Wilson's announcement. They were celebrating their own superstar. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why did it take South Carolina so long to honor Wilson? One fan pointed out the obvious. Why did it take a decade for South Carolina to retire A'ja's number? How is that Iowa's problem? It's a fair question. Wilson graduated in 2018, yet it's taken until 2025 for her alma mater to retire her jersey. That's not on Iowa, that's on South Carolina.
And South Carolina waited years and years to retire A'ja's jersey.
The conspiracy theories are running wild, with some of Wilson's supporters convinced that Iowa deliberately picked this date to overshadow A'ja's moment. But let's think this through. Iowa chose a date that aligns with a high-profile game against USC, featuring rising star Juju Watkins, which was already set to be nationally televised. Plus, Clark's jersey has been hanging in Carver Hawkeye Arena for months. Everyone knew it was coming. How could Iowa possibly know when A'ja's retirement ceremony was planned? No one even knew about it until Clark made her announcement. This isn't about stealing anyone's spotlight. It's about maximizing exposure for women's basketball as a whole.
And then there was, Iowa is rushing this. They're rushing, or everything is rushed with Caitlin Clark. No, she just did things faster and garnered more attention and more notoriety and celebrity and celebration and popularity.
Here's what's hilarious. Some fans are actually asking for Wilson to move her date. One tweet put it bluntly: tell A'ja to move her date. Then the face of the WNBA is retiring hers. Show some respect. It's a stark reminder of how quickly the landscape of women's basketball is evolving. So what's really happening here? Is this about disrespect? Or is it simply a changing of the guard in women's basketball? The facts don't back up the conspiracy theories. Iowa's plans were in place long before Wilson's announcement, and they're just capitalizing on Clark's massive popularity. But here's the twist. There might be more to Iga's reaction than just the jersey retirement itself. Is this truly about the ceremony, or could it be a deeper feeling of jealousy?
It's been interesting because since your article dropped, I gotta say, it has got all the buzz. If you are on X, if you're on Instagram, TikTok for the young kids, you know that Caitlin Clark is the Time Athlete of the Year. How has your 24 hours been since the articles dropped?
It's been awesome, and just the reaction. Obviously, people so excited not only about women's basketball, but about women's sports, and how excited and deserving, not only myself, but just women's sports as a whole.
Caitlin Clark just became the first WNBA player to claim Time's Athlete of the Year. But not everyone is joining the celebration. It's become increasingly clear she has her share of haters, from Cheryl Swoops, Aja Wilson, to NaLyssa Smith, Diana Taurasi, and sadly, the list doesn't end there.
Cheryl, I'll start with you. What's your reaction to Caitlin Clark winning Time Magazine Athlete of the Year?
I don't think I'm surprised. I'm curious to know who the other candidates were.
In a twist that's both startling and yet oddly predictable, Cheryl Swoops, four-time WNBA champion and now Clark's most outspoken critic, had plenty to say about the athlete's recent win. In today's segment, we'll break down the controversy, examine the backlash, and uncover the unexpected way Clark is handling it all. While Clark had the perfect moment to fire back, she chose a different route, leaving everyone utterly speechless. Here's why her response is a masterclass in grace and leadership.
And I've grown up a huge women's sports fan, whether it was basketball, whether it was soccer, whether it was volleyball, you go down the list. Like, I grew up loving it and watching it, so it's pretty special. Like, it doesn't really feel real that I get to be here, but an amazing honor.
Imagine this, Caitlin Clark riding high after earning Time Athlete of the Year, yet not everyone's raising a glass. Enter Cheryl Swoops, former WNBA superstar turned unforeseen critic, stirring up drama on the Gills Arena podcast.
The fact that that's the very first WNBA player to ever win Time Magazine Athlete of the Year is pretty special. And my question is, like the criteria, is it based off of her performance on the court, which, yeah, she had a great year, or is it more about the impact that she had on the game this season?
Rather than praising Clark, Swoops launches into a full-on tirade, openly challenging the very standards used to grant Clark her title. "I'm trying to understand what the criteria is," she says, her voice laced with disbelief. And she doesn't stop there. Swoops rattles off a list of other contenders she believes should have earned the honor instead. The whole thing feels like a slow-motion train wreck, leaving fans and analysts alike puzzled and asking what's really at play.
This is just probably just the impact of the sport, a little bit of it's a little bit of everything, right? So,
yeah, I mean,
when you think about, you just think about athletes of this year.
Yeah.
It's her, the swimmer.
What swimmer?
For Olympics.
Katie Ledecky.
Her performance.
Shit, you know, put
in the
Simone Biles back in there.
You can put her back in there. Probably LeBron from his Olympics.
As we delve further into Swoops' remarks, a pattern starts to form. This isn't her first time taking aim at Clark. When Clark shattered the NCAA scoring record, Swoops was quick to downplay it, questioning whether the accomplishment was all that remarkable given how much the game has evolved since the original milestone was set.
Put Aja Wilson in there.
That was just basketball.
So that's what I'm saying. Was it just the performance on the court, or
it's global? It's like, I think it's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
What about Wilson? She demands, leaving everyone listening in stunned silence. Is this just a careless slip, or is there something more simmering beneath the surface? Swoops' outburst lays bare a deeper struggle. It's not only about Clark now, It's the old guard facing off against the new era, tradition clashing with the future of women's basketball. Once the sport's leading figure, Swoops now watches from the sidelines as Clark captivates a whole new generation of fans.
It just keeps putting a light on the sport for everybody else to eat. And, you know, sometimes, you know, just as athletes, you know, we are competitive by nature. And, you know, we don't like when someone's getting something that we don't think they deserve.
The basketball world is left stunned. Swoops, once a beacon of inspiration for countless young athletes, including a young Caitlin Clark, now appears bitter and disconnected. Her remarks ignite intense debates online, with fans and players alike taking sides. Yet here's the ironic twist. While Swoops questions Clark's merit, Clark's star power only intensifies. Her record-breaking performances and swelling fan base speak volumes. The contrast is glaring. One athlete clinging to the past, the other blazing a trail into the future of women's basketball.
Well, it's been a crazy year. It's hard to think about. Like, I was basically just starting my senior year of college at this time last year. And then I graduated. I missed my college graduation, got drafted here in New York City, basically moved right to Indianapolis and basically start like a whole new chapter of your life instantly, and you don't really have much time to adjust. But lucky enough, I had a really great support system and family around, and I'm from the Midwest, so didn't take me too long, but this past year has just been amazing.
How does Clark tackle this sudden wave of criticism? Does she lash out, stoking the flames? Or does she remain poised under pressure? Her approach to this conflict won't just shape her legacy, it could help reshape the entire landscape of women's basketball. Buckle up, because Clark is about to reveal the depths of her character.
It's fun to reflect back and think about all the amazing things that I was able to accomplish and the people that I got to do it with. I think that's what's made it so special is I've had my family with me the whole time, my friends, amazing teammates, amazing coaches, and it wouldn't be possible without all of them, so just really fortunate.
Remember when we said Clark was about to show us what she's made of? Well, her response to the Time Award controversy isn't just surprising, it's genuinely groundbreaking. She's redefining what leadership looks like in women's basketball. While Swoops casts doubt, Clark continues to smash records and win over fans' hearts. How does she handle the criticism? Does she shoot back? Not at all. Clark takes the high road, and that choice has everyone talking.
The number of Indiana Fever fans I saw in young girls and the way they were lighting up, I mean, you have represented something so special for the sport, but you've drawn eyes to a game that you've always grown up loving. What does that mean to you?
You know, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around because I'm so focused and so competitive, and I love the game. I love playing. I love being in front of the fans. But over the course of probably the last two and a half years, it's all kind of changed where, you know, it's hard to get a ticket whether we're at home or whether we're on the road.
In her Time interview, Clark doesn't merely shrug off the controversy. She faces it head on with a level of maturity that's capturing everyone's attention. Caitlin Clark's rise to stardom has been accompanied by a refreshing sense of self-awareness.
A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then you continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing.
But Clark doesn't stop there. She makes a point of recognizing the legends who laid the groundwork for her success. And guess who she gives credit to? Cheryl Swoops herself. It's a move that proves Clark isn't just an elite talent on the court. She's a class act off it as well.
Thoughts on Caitlin Clark saying she wants to use her platform to elevate black women in the WNBA have been instrumental, obviously, in building that league to what it is. Okay.
So what's the
Clark's reply? It's more than simply rising above the fray. It's a masterclass in handling criticism with grace, transforming a potentially negative moment into something uplifting. She's not just standing up for her own achievements, She's raising the bar for the entire dialogue surrounding women's basketball.
I remember my first WNBA game, one of the best memories of my childhood, and I think very influential in wanting to be a professional basketball player, wanting to be a great person, having those people to look up to and want to be like one day. So I just try to embody that every single day, and I feel like I have good perspective on, like, basketball isn't my everything. Like, yeah, I love it, and I get to do it, and it's given me a lot of really great opportunities, but at the same time, you know, win or loss, I feel like I try to be the same person.
The contrast between Clark's approach and Swoops' remarks couldn't be more stark. While Swoops questions and criticizes, Clark chooses to celebrate and uplift. This strategy isn't just winning her new fans, it's quieting her critics in the most impactful way possible. Don't mistake Clark's kindness for weakness, though. Her words carry real weight, and her actions speak volumes. She's showing that you don't have to tear others down to elevate yourself. In fact, by paying tribute to those who came before her, Clark is securing her own legacy in basketball history.
Know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit, but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career.
As the controversy fades, one truth stands out. Clark's handling of the situation has transformed what could have been a divisive episode into a moment of unity for women's basketball. She's demonstrated that it's possible to be both a fierce competitor on the court and a gracious leader off it. But the story doesn't end here. Clark's poised response has paved the way for a much broader conversation. How will the rest of the basketball community react to this display of sportsmanship and class? Stay tuned, because the reactions are about to roll in, and they may just surprise you.
But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important. And that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like, I try to just be real and authentic and, you know, share my truth. And I think that's very easy for me. Like, I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And that's kind of been how it is my entire life.
Clark's triumph and Swoop's critique didn't just grab headlines. They sparked a wildfire of debate across the basketball landscape. Opinions are swirling at lightning speed, faster than one of Clark's signature three-pointers, and everyone wants their say. Let's break down the reactions. On Clark's side, a whole army of supporters has turned up. Fans are flooding social media with admiration for the rising star, applauding her poise under pressure and calling out Swoops for what they view as a bitter backlash. As one fan tweeted, Clark's response shows she's already a legend in the making. Swoops could learn a thing or two about sportsmanship.
And you'll never be able to make everyone happy. And someone that knows that at the age of 22, like, let's go.
I mean, I think I have good perspective on that. And like I said in the article, which turned out amazing, I thought it was great. I said, I feel like one of my best skills is just blocking things out. Like, I don't really, the only opinions I really care about are the people that I love, my teammates, my coaches, the people inside of our locker room, the people that I see every single day, and I know have my best interests at heart too.
How will all this drama shape Clark's future in the WNBA? That's the million-dollar question. Some believe the controversy might heap extra pressure on her next season. Others argue it's only adding fuel to her competitive fire, potentially setting the stage for a dominant sophomore year and maybe even an MVP run. But here's what nobody can dispute. Clark's influence is undeniable. WNBA ticket sales are soaring, and television ratings for women's college basketball have never been higher. Even viewers who've never followed the women's game are tuning in just to watch Clark play. The numbers don't lie. Clark isn't merely a player, she's a phenomenon. And she's redefining the landscape of the sport.
I'm just scratching the surface of the things I want to accomplish, and you know, I'm 22. I'm still figuring out life. I'm still figuring out where everything's going to go, and You know, I love basketball, and basketball has brought me so many amazing things, and that will continue to be probably my first passion and everything that I enjoy. And hopefully once basketball ends, I can still find things that I'm really passionate about and can do. Hopefully be an owner of a sports team one day, or open a restaurant. I don't know. Something fun. A little less stressful, maybe. Maybe a coffee shop or something. I don't know.
Clark's impact isn't just about one award or one controversy. It's about the future of the game. While some question the criteria behind her Time Athlete of the Year win, Clark's response, acknowledging the greats who came before her, even Cheryl Swoops, has been a masterclass in grace and leadership. Instead of firing back, she's elevating the conversation. Her style of play, highlighted by long-range shooting and raw emotion, is inspiring young athletes to pick up a basketball and believe in their own potential. Fans are tuning in like never before, and ticket sales and TV ratings reflect her growing influence. Clark's authenticity off the court, making time for fans and remembering what it's like to be the kid in the crowd, resonates on a personal level. This isn't just about Clark and Swoops, it's about the entire trajectory of women's basketball. The sport stands at a crossroads, balancing respect for its legends with the rise of new stars who are redefining what's possible. Clark's story is bringing more attention, more debate, and more excitement to the WNBA. She's not merely breaking records, she's reshaping perceptions, inspiring a new generation, and turning the spotlight onto women's basketball like never before. As we watch Clark's journey unfold, it's clear the game is evolving before our eyes. Her rise signals a new era, one in which women's sports command center stage and future players dream even bigger. The sport will never be the same, and that's exactly the point.